Hello, welcome to my sixth attempt at making this a coherent beginner's guide. I hope that this time I'll nail it. If you've already watched my other guide, I will repeat a lot of the information from there, but I just wanted to make a updated version with the new stuff that has been added into the Food Fantasy game, and some of my knowledge has also improved since then. So now let's assume you're a new player, you just started the game. One of the first things you're going to have to get familiar with is your restaurant. And it's fairly straightforward. The game tells you pretty much all you need to know about it. But what the game doesn't tell you is what should you even be cooking in your restaurant. As you can see, I'm cooking cold tofu and pineapple juice. Once you have 2 cooks unlocked, I would also recommend that you cook 2 different dishes, one that is a little bit slower and one that's a little bit faster in consumption. Just for the sake of showing you this, I'm going to use a few crystals here. So you can see it takes 90 seconds per dish to be consumed, whereas this only takes 60 seconds, which means the pineapple juice is going to be much faster consumed by my customers than the cold tofu, which is nice because then I have a food that I can keep the customers in with. I don't need to look at my restaurant that often. But if you can check your restaurant regularly, maybe using something that eats fast like a pineapple juice is really going to improve your fame gain more. And that's basically what the main thing is. You want to gain as much fame as you possibly can so that you can upgrade your restaurant as soon as you can, so that you can get more rewards from the rankings. Because let's face it, soul embers are really important. They are what you use to summon food souls with, so that's really important. So being able to get into a higher rank when you first start out, you might be in the 3,000 to 5,000, but getting 50 more by just going up 1 level is really important. So just try to level that up as fast as you can, getting as much fame as you can. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to get fame fast? And that is by using food that has flavor as their main ingredient, as their main stat. So depending on what cuisine you start off, you want to focus on specific foods. For Glory Will, the pineapple juice is definitely one of the better ones. But it's also not that early on that you unlock it. So until then, maybe a fruit salad, maybe any of these other ones, you know, like the mushroom soup or the cheese bread, anything that has a high amount of flavor. Just put whatever has the highest flavor in. But once you have pineapple juice unlocked, just focus on that. Once you have that unlocked, you can cook it. Just do it. But how do you cook it? That's another thing that the game doesn't tell you, because there is a way you can cook this even better and not mess up your ingredients as much. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to gather some ingredients to cook this fruit salad here, so I can show you something. Okay, let's get another pineapple. No, I'm sorry that I'm doing this right now, by the way, but I hope it's fine. I just need some ingredients here. Okay, there we go. So if we cook this normally just once, you'll see we gain 6 experience for the food, 5 experience for our character. We gain stats based on the type of the food. This is a flavor type food, so we mainly gain flavor, but we also gain some other stats. Depending on what food, you might want to make sure you gain more flavor so that you can max it out faster, and also make sure you max it out, because it is possible to get to the highest level of the food and not have the flavor maxed out. The way to do this is by using seasoning. So you just need to learn how to read this on the side here. A rich milky sauce is condensed milk. A sauce that goes well with fruits and vegetables, that would be salad dressing. So we are going to use some exquisite salad dressing now. Thousand Island. We're going to use that and we're going to make it. And as you can see, we got more flavor, and also these points that we added in flavor, we also gained in experience. And some foods you can only get 4 points extra, but in others you can get 6 points extra. So using the seasoning is really important. But there is some foods you don't want to use seasoning for. For example, popcorn. If you use seasoning on popcorn, it will increase the aroma and not the texture, which is what you'd want to focus on, because the texture from popcorn is really good. It's a really high amount. It's a food that you would cook in your restaurant if you want to make gold, because the higher the texture, the more gold you get from it. But you're going to mess it up if you use seasoning. However, there's some foods that you don't really need to worry about, like anything like a crispy pork. I would recommend always use seasoning for these, so you can level them up a little faster. And that's going to be important once you are in a guild. It's going to be important that your foods are leveled up. So if you have the seasoning for it and you don't need that specific seasoning for your main food, like if you don't need it for your main food, like if you have Glory Bowl and you're focusing on your pineapple juice, then anything that isn't Crystal Sago, just use it to cook other foods, just to level them up a little faster. But try not to mess up any texture or flavor foods. That said, now you know what you need to cook, what to improve, and what to place into your restaurant. As far as decorating your restaurant goes, you don't need to spend too much time thinking about that. However, it is good to have as much decoration as possible. There's a reason for that, and if you need, you can buy pretty cheap stuff that gives you a good amount of points. So one thing, for example, that I think gives a lot of points is this bunny. It gives 40 points and you can buy it with gold. That's not a bad thing to buy if you just need to increase the appearance of your restaurant. I don't have it in anymore because I don't really need it anymore. But the reason you want to increase that is for the review, which is also something that's new, that's not in my other guide. This is a place where you can cook foods and they need to have a specific rank. You can check these out, these reviews. People are going to tell you what you need to cook. So this says shortbread and mushroom soup. So shortbread, we're going to go to dessert. There we go, shortbread. And it tells us we need an appearance of 693, but we only have an appearance of 527. Damn, that sucks. But there is some food salts, like macaron, cold rice shrimp, sakura mochi, and songzi, who do give you a improvement to the rating. So we are now going to use macaron, and she gives me an increase by 125 points to the rating of the shortbread. So we're going to use that and put her in there. And then the other one was mushroom soup. So let's select our mushroom soup. There we go. And that needs a flavor of 599. We're so close. So we are going to cook that again with seasoning to increase it even better. And slender before it's chopped, that's scallion. Use that. and we're going to make it. And as you can see, we got more points there, and we just got enough points to go up to 599. So now we can select that, and there's that. Another requirement is the restaurant beauty. You can see that down here, and if your restaurant beauty isn't high enough, you're not going to get points. But now we should be able to cook this and get the maximum amount of points. As you can see, before that we only had 1 star. Now I would hope that we get all 3 stars. No, we're actually not. We were just a little bit short. I think in the shortbread we didn't have enough there. I didn't calculate it exactly how much I needed. I needed 693 and I only had 527. Yeah, it was not high enough with the 125 per bonus. So that was a bit of a problem. And yeah, but if you get the points, you get 20 soul embers each time you get 5 stars on one. You also get some rewards up here, which are really nice. And then you also get rewards for if you get a total amount of something. And you gain the toast and toast shards and soul embers. And those are really good. Those are really important. So try to keep up with this as much as possible. However, until later on, you're probably going to struggle quite a bit. But you can definitely do it over time. Now that we've talked about your restaurant, one of the next things you're going to be unlocking is the hard stages. You're going to unlock these at level 12, and I highly recommend that you do them and you try to get through them with your first main team. Speaking of your first main team, the first team you're likely going to be using might be something like this. Only focus on the 4 first ones. These 4 are really great combination. As you can see, these have their linked skill all working together, so that's a little bit of an increase to the strength of their skills. And you can probably use these 4 until around level 30, or in my case that was level 36. You can see that I've used my coffee until level 36. You know, like I've used him until level 36. However, I used my milk until level 52 and my tom yum until level 70, and I still until today use my black tea because that's the level I am right now. Yeah, but that said, that's one of the teams you should focus on, and I don't think you will need to swap these out for anything else, because one of the main things that I want to teach you is how to min-max your food salts, because it might be a little overwhelming with how many food salts there are, and so I want to teach you how to min-max that. So let's just go from the bottom with our R food salts and start there, and I'm going to talk you through how to min-max your R food salts. Specifically, what food salts are garbage and what food salts do you really need. And there's a specific reason why I'm mentioning the ones that are garbage. Don't level them up. I'll get back to that, but for now, just remember, do not level up garbage food salts. So we have garbage here, garbage, 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 garbage. This one's useful, but also you're not going to be able to get it for the first few levels. I think you unlock exploration at level let's look, level 24, and by then you probably don't need her anymore. Dorayaki, also pretty garbage, pretty garbage, pretty garbage, pretty garbage, pretty garbage. Really, you can see that almost all our food salts I'm going to label as garbage. However, coffee is really good for you to use early on. You're probably going to get a few of his shards. That said, moving on, you don't really need her. You don't really need him. Milk, however, good. keep her. Milk's good. When it comes to cold rice shrimp, if you can get her, it's not too bad to level her up, just so you can improve her skill that I showed you earlier. You know, the restaurant skill for the increasing the flavor of a dish. The higher her level is, the better, or the more you can actually level this up. That's not such a bad thing at all. But essentially you don't need to level her up early on either. You don't really need Songi leveled up. Spicy gluten is not bad. Not bad. You could use her for some time. Tom Yum, however, definitely use him. Definitely. He's the most important, or one of the two most important ones. Garbage. Miso Soup, however, really golden. His damage output for a healer is insane. He deals a lot of damage as a healer, and I still use him in some of my team compositions, so definitely keep his shorts. And that basically leaves you with just 4, or if we include Spicy Gluten, which I think maybe you want to do, maybe you want to level her up, because she's not too bad as a damage dealer in combination with Coffee. But that does limit you to just these food souls, and the rest, unless you really have to level them up for the explorations, for example, which you unlock at level 24, I would recommend you simply keep them. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about why in just a few moments. First, let's talk about the SR food souls. Garbage. Not too bad, but you're also not going to get him until very late. Event, garbage, event, pretty useless, event, useless, event, useless. I don't know too much about him, to be honest. I don't know. I can't say if useless or not, or if it's easy for you to get her anyway. Milk tea is pretty good if you can get a hold of her. So is Yunnan noodles. Gyoza is the tank that you want to replace your Tom Yum with, if you manage to get him at 1 star or 2 stars. If he's not at that point, if your Gyoza is not over 1 star, if he's, or at least 1 star, he is not going to be better than your 5-star Tom Yum. So don't even bother replacing your Tom Yum if you don't have a Gyoza that's strong enough to replace him. I used him a lot early on because I was lucky enough to get him, but by now you don't really get him much anymore, so nah. Sushi is nice early on too. You can buy her shards. You can buy her shards in the restaurant shop. So if you have her, you might want to focus on her a bit, just so you have a damage dealer. Really not a bad choice to use and all that. Pretty useless. Useful, but hard to get. Only able to get in an event. Really good tank, actually. If you can get her from summoning or something like that, really good. I think you can only get her in events. Only events again. Only events 2. Wonton, not really that useful. I wouldn't focus on him. Pastel Donata, also not really useful. Cassata, however, is pretty strong. So if you can manage to pull him a few times or so, really useful too. Mango Pudding has its uses. If you have nothing else to use, she isn't all that bad. Red Wine, really good. Lava Kongi, also really good. But until you have her at a specific level of stars, she's not going to be all that useful to you. But if you do manage to get her, she's an essential for the world boss. So even if you only have her in 1 star or so, she'd probably still be a good pick for you for the world boss. So if you get her, that's great. Hamburger, also pretty good early on, before you get your hands on a red wine or even a Sanma, because his shards are really easy to get. Napoleon Cake is pretty useless. Yuxiang, is useful as a damage dealer, and you can get her shards pretty easily from the hard stages as well, which I have already mentioned. Salad and yogurt are not really useful at all. Tiramisu is okay. I used her as my main healer for a long time, but she's really not all that great. You can just keep using milk. You don't need to focus on her too much. But now we're going to get to the ones you really want. Tang 1 you really want as soon as you hit level 32. It's not going to be easy, but if you can have her by the time you hit level 32 in combination with Mooncake, you're going to be so much more valuable to any guild that you join. This is the guild boss essentials team, pretty much. And Sweet Tofu is pretty much the best healer that you can get, so if you can manage to grab him, which you can grab him in Shard Fusions and Airship, okay, yeah. So that's really important, getting Sweet Tofu. Black Tea as well, just level her up. You know, getting her to 5 stars is definitely not a bad choice. She might be your most reliable DPS for a long time to come. Mooncake, as I said, you definitely want to get your Mooncake leveled up as fast as you can, because not only is she useful for the guild boss, she's also useful for both of the world bosses and in PvP if you don't have anything else yet. Steak was my tank that I replaced Tom Yum with because he's a bit more offensive than Tom Yum, which I liked, and his shards are also not too hard to get, so there's that. But you can definitely keep using Tom Yum even up to level 90. He is still viable. Tom Yum is such a good tank. Unless you have something a lot better than him, you don't need to replace him. Now moving on, Vodka is absolutely great. You definitely want to get Vodka. And you can get her in the showdown, where you can also get Mooncake shards. I'm going to show you that in a moment because I think I haven't shown it in this recording yet. Sanma as well, you definitely want to get. That's one of the most important ones, but also pretty hard to get. So why have I mentioned these food salts? And that is because at level 30 you're going to unlock Shard Fusion. And you want to save up as many R food salt shards as you can, so that you can go in here and you can select them and you can fuse them together for SR food salt shards. And as you can see, I just got a Tang 1 shard, and like I said, you want to have Tang 1 by the time you're level 32. So if you don't manage to pull her in the summoning, which you should be able to, she has a pretty high rate of dropping, so you should be able to get her there. And she's good to replace your milk with, so, but only once you have her at 2 stars or so. But getting some shards for her just by using all of the R food salts that you don't need to level up, that's really strong. So once you're level 30, you want to have as many saved up as possible. So only level up what you really need to level up. Don't waste your shards, because you're going to hate that you did it by the time you hit level 30, which is what happened to me. I leveled up all my R food salts for the prestige because I wanted to, even though I never really used them. And then I hit, back then it was level 50 even too. And then I hit level 50 and I realized, damn it, I wish I had that, because it gets even better. It gets even better. You can even use shards that you don't need anymore to fuse into UR shards. And you can get either UR shards or SR shards. And some of the most notable ones that you can get are Sanma and Sweet Tofu. You can get as well, and you can get red wine. And those are some really solid food salts that you definitely want to get. You also get some steak shards, so that's not too bad. And I'm not sure about Vodka. Yeah, you can get her in Shard Fusion too. So that as well. And you can get double scoop. You can get bamboo rice, Boston lobster, foie gras, Peking duck. So you can get all of these URs, which are really strong URs, by simply saving up food salts that you don't need and saving up their leveling up material. You don't need it, so don't use it. If you don't need it, use it to make shards for these guys. Because even if you don't pull these in the summoning, you can still get their shards. I never pulled Boston Lobster, but I have him on 3 stars. And that's crazy because he's so rare. But once he was added to the shard fusion, anybody can have him. And he's really, really strong. You definitely want to get his shards as soon as possible. And there you have it. That's why you want to save up your food salts. And of course, you may also get some nice food salts like caviar or toso or butter tea or so in the events. These are really, really strong. Pizza as well is really strong. So if you can get your hands on any of those, that's really, really good too. Bibimbap, another really great one if you do manage to grab her. But let's move on, we still have a lot to cover. Now that you know what food salts you want to focus on, like I said, you're going to unlock the showdown at some point. I think level 24 or 22, you're going to unlock this. And once you have it unlocked, you want to make a team with 1 tank and 4 DPS. Throw your black tea in there. If you already have Mooncake, use her as well. She's not bad to use here. Anything that deals damage or has crowd control. Early on you could also add a healer, but I always recommend not to go for a healer in PvP. And then you want to defeat whoever opponent has the lowest amount of power compared to yours, so you win definitely. And then in the shop you can buy Mooncake shards, and you can buy vodka shards, and you can buy hamburger shards. But you can also buy B52 shards, which is an SR. So there you go. That's where you should be spending your points in. And that is going to be how you level up your most essential food salts. You get stronger, and when you get stronger you have a better chance at taking part in the events to get even better food salts. Now speaking of events though, there's one thing that I wish someone would have told me early on, and that is, do not spend your soul embers when you first start the game. It may be super tempting. It is, I know. You get so many early on. You get a lot of them early on because you level up so fast and you get a ton of soul embers when you first start. And it is really, really tempting to use them in order to get better food salts and all that. But I really urge you, do not use them until there is an event. Because when there's an event, there's chances to get food salts you would otherwise not get. Like butter tea or toso or caviar or so. And then once it's the event time, you use your your soul embers to get some of these rarer food salts and also just level up the rest of your food salts. I had that problem that I used all of these soul embers that I got early on, and then an event came around and I didn't have any anymore, and I was really sad because there was pretty much a guaranteed you pretty much were guaranteed a really rare food soul if you just summoned enough times. And I think I only would have needed like 5,000 soul embers to guarantee that back then. So just save them up. You're gonna get a lot of them, but try to just save them up. Try to just really focus on other stuff. Sometimes, yeah, you might need to do it. Sometimes you will probably have to, because you feel like you're stuck and you just need to get a little bit stronger, and then you just summon 6 times and you just hope for something. But for the most part, try to just keep leveling up your food salts in other ways. By feeding them, for example. You definitely want to feed your food salts. That's something I haven't mentioned yet. So just figure out what their favorite food is and feed them, because they gain better stats from that. That's one thing that you definitely want to do. And now, one thing that I forgot to mention was the artifacts. Like I said, Tom Yum has an artifact, and I would suggest that you unlock it as soon as you can. You might be able to get your hands on some tickets for that. Let's just go down and I will show you how that works. So let's go to our Tom Yum. Here we go. Artifact, and I'll just show you how that works. So you want to obtain that, and you need these tickets for that. I have not used any of my R tickets yet, and these aren't too hard to get. I think in the shop, yeah, they're just 10 crystals each, but you can also get them in events fairly easy. I haven't bought them with crystals yet whatsoever, just gotten them in events. You might be able to do that. So what you want to do is you want to use your Tom Yum and anyone else in your team. Oh god, my game's lagging, so I'm having a hard time scrolling through my food salts. So let's just throw him in there. And then we're going to go in here and we are going to use our tickets. And the fact that he has an artifact makes Tom Yum even more valid even later on. Oh, I was not allowed to use support food salts. Okay. Make sure you read this properly, but it doesn't really matter all that much. So let's just use whoever and do that again. And you want to you need at least 15, I think, 15 tickets, which that's only 150 crystals. That's not that much, you know, compared to how much you need for SR food souls. Anyway, now that I have done this and I passed all of the stuff, I can just sweep this, and I'm going to use up all of my tickets here because there's no other R food soul where I would want to do it anyway. So there you go. You want to do this, and then you can open it, and you've unlocked this artifact. And then what you can do is you can use your remaining points to unlock these things. And I only got this far, sadly, but that's already giving us 500 HP and 1000 attack speed, so that's good. And if you get even more points, you can get up to this, which is really important. So you unlock that with another 50, and then you can get either of these free skills, and they're going to get better depending on what Togi you inlay as well. If you have a level 2 or 3 or 4 Togi, these are going to get even stronger. This is just the base amount of these skills. And if you read them, they're pretty good. In battle, boosts one's defense by 1%. After basic attack, heals self for 2% of missing HP. Or defense 1% and a 5% chance of getting 50 points of energy. Or 1% defense and 30% chance of dispelling debuffs from self. I would personally probably go for either the first or the second. It just depends. You can also change these whenever you want. You don't need to select one. These depend on what Togi you put in there. And the Togis are in here. So you can look at these. So this is a defense Togi. And there's 3 different types. There's the antler Togis, the striped Togis, and the, oh god, I forgot what the other one is called, but there's 3 different types of Togis, and depending on which type you choose, you get one of the skills, and then you also get, since this is a level 3 and a defense Togi, I would get 3% defense from this. So you can increase your defense by quite a lot if you level up your Tom Yum's artifact, and it's not that expensive to do. I would try to at least get to this point and level him up. Then you're going to be in a much better spot for your world boss. So now we've talked about that, I want to mention your your stamina potions. I don't know if I already mentioned that you should keep them, but your stamina potions, I would recommend do not ever spend them until there is a Gate of Trials event. The way a Gate of Trial event works is that you would be able to use stamina to farm the points you need to level up your artifact, and that is really powerful, and I will show you just now just how powerful that is if you just wait a little bit. And I will do that by showing you my artifact for black tea, because this I leveled up only by doing the Gate of Trials, and I'm not even sure if I used my stamina potions here, or if I simply just used the stamina that I did gain normally. But you get a lot of points, and you only need to use stamina and not any crystals or wait for events, so that's really good. And sometimes you even get Gate of Trials for really important food souls, so just save them up, because once the Gate of Trial comes around, you definitely want to have your stamina potions. I know, sometimes you want to use your stamina potions because you're so close to something. You really just want to get that little bit of extra stamina so you can get that. But if you can spare it, buy yourself stamina instead in the token shop. Buy yourself 30 stamina in here instead if you can afford to. I would not recommend buying the stamina in here because that's really expensive. But yeah, just try to save them up, because the Gate of Trials is really powerful, and sometimes you get Gate of Trials for really useful food souls, so you want to keep those. We still have so much more to cover. Let's jump ahead and look at Fallen Angels next. I'm going to claim all of my Fallen Angels now. I would recommend that you unlock these, at least 4 of them, as soon as you can. As soon as you can unlock them, because that's really important. It's really important to level up your Fallen Angels. I'll show you the Fallen Angels. These are the Fallen Angels. Basically, they're like an item you equip your food soul with to increase their stats. As you can see, this plus 10 Inugami increases the attack of my Sanma quite a bit. It's going to take a while before you get there, but you need to start early on. And it might be a little confusing at first, because there's so many different types of Fallen Angels and so many different Fallen Angels, but the game also helps you out. So simply, if you select a food soul and you look at their Fallen Angel, it is going to tell you which Fallen Angel their favorite is, and then you want to have that. And then depending on what Fallen Angel, you need a specific nature. For B52, Wraith. And I'm just going to go into the Fallen Angels and tell you the 3 different types of Fallen Angels that you want to focus on. Brave for attack. That's for anyone you use as an attacker. If it's someone you use in PvP and in the catacombs or in the main stages, doing 3 attack and 1 HP, that's really useful. And this is for food souls that primarily you use for attack. And yeah, see, that's what I use for most of them here. But there's also some other food souls where attack speed is really viable. Like if their basic skill, for example, is a crowd control skill, just like Ducky has. Ducky has a silence on his basic skill, so you want to speed him up as much as possible so that he uses it more often. So any food soul that has a basic skill that is a crowd control skill, you want to use Resolute on as well. Or any food soul where using their basic skill is really important, you want to use Resolute on. There's a few examples of that. Ducky is one example, Peking Duck is one example for that, but also your healers. You also want to use Resolute for your healers. Butter tea is another one where you want to use Resolute on, and that's just how it goes. So for your healers, you want to use 3 attack speed and 1 attack. I'm still working on this. I just really need to go in here and smelt them. You do that by just going here, and if you know the number you're aiming for, like this highest number here, 1 1 2 3, I would go and try to see that here on the left side, and then I would refine and try to hit that number. And just now I got a better attack than down here, so I'm instead going to swap down to this. And once again, I'm trying to either find a 7 6 8 or a 1 1 2 3. And I'm just going to click on it over and over until I see what I want to see. Now I see this number again, and I'm going to refine again. And yeah, attack is nice, but I don't want the attack. I want the attack speed, and we already made it. So now we've improved this by quite a lot, and that's how you do that. That's how you manage to get it leveled up. It still sometimes takes quite a while. I was just getting a little bit lucky here. Getting the legendary ones can definitely be a lot tougher, but this is how you rank it up, and you want to do that for all of your main important food souls. And like I said, you want to have a few brave ones in there for your attackers. For your tanks, you want cautious because that is the HP, and you also want to have 1 perseverance for the world boss. In terms of Tom Yum, do not use his favorite food soul. Use either a Ukomochi or a Tsuchigumo. However, I would probably suggest that you just use a Spectra, because not many food souls use Spectra as their main or as their favorite. So I would recommend you just use a Spectra like I did. You can still see that these are the stats that I've used with my Tom Yum Spectra for a long time, and I would recommend doing that because you want to have a resolute Ukomochi enhanced, and you want to enhance that as much as you can. So and you also want a resolute Tsuchigumo, and you want to enhance that as much as you can, because when it comes to attack speed, these two are the best you can get. And I'm still currently working on getting my resolute Ukomochi enhanced, and how you do that is you go in here and you use the water. You only get 2 chances if you don't have the packs, the monthly packs. However, I would recommend if you care about this game and you don't mind spending $12 a month on it, or even just 6, get either of the packs, and yeah, that's going to be nice. And then I use the resolve syringe to increase the chance that it's going to be a resolute fallen angel by 40%. And I would recommend you do that if you want something specific. And I don't have any more there, so I'm just going to randomly purify some uppers. Just try to get these unlocked as fast as you can, because fallen angels are really important. They're going to make your team so much more stronger. If you manage to get your fallen angels leveled up fast, and you can do that once you can get into the catacombs, which would be at around level 26. So try to level them up as fast as you can. Try to get as many as you can. Save up some crystals before you hit level 26 so that you can unlock these slots. I think there are 100 crystals each. You definitely want to do that. It's going to make you gain strength that much faster. So what's left? We still need to talk about the new world boss, but we also need to talk about the explorations, which you're going to unlock at level 24. And you can get seasoning here, and you can also get seasoning. Like, you can get seasoning for leveling up your skills, and you can get seasoning for leveling up your foods. Sorry, I have been recording this so many times. And you can also get, as you can see, soul embers in here, and you can also get a few food salts in here. Most notable, you can get vodka here, so you definitely want to do that. The way it works is that you select whatever exploration you want to do, and then it's going to tell you what the requirements are to get the maximum rewards. But you do not need to meet these requirements. So even if I select someone that is not level 40, it does work. I just won't get, you know, like the maximum rewards. Now I don't have this checked, so I don't get that. So if we change this, we will get 6 instead of just 4 of the intermediate seasoning. I think the types of explorations you can do depends on your level, so I don't think you need to really focus too much on stuff. However, when it comes to explorations, you might need to level up some of your food salts, because sometimes it asks for a pretty high star level. So if we go in here, that they want at least 3 stars, at least SR, magic food salts, at least, you know, 7,000 strength. And that can be a bit harder to achieve. As you can see, I only have 4 food salts in total that meet these requirements. So later on, when you want to get the most out of your explorations, you might need to level up some food salts that you don't really care about, making them a little stronger by just tossing a fallen angel on them that you don't need anymore, and just leveling them up a bit. And yeah, you know, just trying to have options for your explorations. But that's the explorations. It's a bit different from how it used to be, but I personally like them a lot more like this. Another thing that's new is your fishing hole, but I don't personally know at what level this unlocks. But it is very useful, because with the points that you can get with the crystals, you can actually buy ingredients, you can also buy seasoning and the upgrade materials for your restaurant. That's just great. So you can just buy any ingredients in here and keep a little bit more stamina in order to sweep hard stages, to get more shards to level up your food salts, or to turn these shards into higher, better shards in the shard fusion. So the fishing hole is really important. I can't stress that enough. The way it works is you're going to level it up the same as the restaurant, and it has its own type of fame, which you don't need to do anything specific. You just need to add a fisher, and then you need to add bait. I don't know why they aren't fishing right now, so let's just try that again. I'm going to add bait. There we go. And I see, they're just tired. Okay. It just wasn't updated. So early on you start with just 1 slot, and then they're going to fish, and you can choose whatever you want here. I just go with the sunny to reduce the fishing time by 15%, and you can do that once a day, and it's going to last for 6 hours. And you can add even more. I personally use these 3 a lot, because you can improve their freshness, their fitness, and I'm not really using them in my restaurant anymore. However, early on you might be using them in your restaurant a lot. I also use skewer here a lot because I barely use her in my restaurant, but that is because I just have a lot of, as you can see, I have pretty much all of the restaurant foods that you can have, like all 11 of them that are currently available. That gives me a little bit of a luxury of being able to use some of them out here. And then you can select your reward. You can collect your rewards, and you even get a few soul embers and a little bit of fame for your restaurant. A tiny bit of stamina, but most importantly, you get the crystals. And with those, as I said, you can buy yourself the ingredients you need for your airship, for cooking, for all of those things. So once you've unlocked that, which I don't know personally when this unlocks, because it was already unlocked when it was added to the game. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is you can also fish at a friend's place. So you can add bait to a friend's place and add a fisher to a friend's place, and that essentially gives you one more fisher. So if you only have 2 fishing slots unlocked, you can still get a little bit more if you just go to friends' places and fish at their places too, which is not such a bad idea to do, given the fact that these are really valuable, because it saves you some stamina, and that stamina you can then use to, like I said, do hard stages, get the shards, and use the shards for shard fusion. Really useful that way. I personally don't really do it much because I don't have all that much time to sit around and do all my shard fusions all the time. I mean, all the hard stages. It is a little bit tedious to do them, but early on, if you're trying to get a foot in the door with this game and you're trying to improve, I would definitely recommend it. This is also new. I would recommend you do this as well, because you get a good amount of gold and a good amount of fame and some seasoning here. And all you need to do is, and I guess I'll show you buying this in the store. So you can just go in here and you just buy it in here. It's 50 crystals for one ingredient. It's really not that high. I've never run out of my crystals, and I've even spent a lot of them on some occasions. So there we go. You can now make that, but I think I needed 2. Oh, I forgot. And you can get gold in here, as I said, primarily, but you can also get cooking power, and cooking power is really important. Cooking power is really important. So there we go, let's cook that another time. And then we are going to serve them. And you can do that 5 times before you need a refresh. You can skip whatever he's talking about and you get the beginner seasoning, but you also get the gold and the fame. Then he's leaving and there's that. And then you can call in another one. Let's just see what we get. So we get an otaku and we can look, and once again he needs specific foods. He gives you a certain amount of gold and a certain amount of fame and a certain amount of items. You may notice that it says plus something here, and that is due to these souvenirs. You can get these free souvenirs. Why can I not? Okay, I'm not able to change my souvenirs while he's here, I guess. But these free souvenirs you can get just by doing the quests that are related to the balcony, and then you just add them in. And if you want more souvenirs, you can, if you serve the customers enough, and no, not 10 times, you need to level them up to 10. So, or like you need to collect 10 of their dialogues. So you need to serve them quite a few times, and you need to level up the stars by serving them enough times to unlock them, so you even have a chance to unlock them. But it seems like you only need them at 4 stars maximum, and then you can get a souvenir, and this souvenir gives me 2 additional items, so it will give me a little bit more seasoning if I do it. But the main thing that's nice is the boxes of cooking power. You can get boxes with cooking power in here, And if you don't know what cooking power is, I guess I should mention that. Cooking power is what you use to level up your talents. And these are so important. Oh, and I wish I would have known earlier where to spend mine, because I had to reset. And spend a ton of crystals back then to get all my points back. So let me just tell you what to do. So in support, the main thing you want to have is divine seasoning. You don't need much more than this, but divine seasoning definitely, you definitely want divine seasoning. Precise seasoning is good too, but divine seasoning is really important for the catacombs because it replenishes health and you lose all status ailments. So if you're getting poisoned or anything like that, it's really nice to take. There's a few stages as well in like the hard stages and so on where it could be really useful to have. But yeah, the divine seasoning is pretty much as far as you need to go in this one. And in control, you don't need to go further than the cooking pan, the hot pan. That's as far as you need to go. The other ones, they're really not useful at all. So that's all you need to do. We just get the cooking pan, the hot pan here, and in support, go all the way up to the divine seasoning. And the reason I'm saying that is because you want to get to these passive skills up here. These are really powerful. They will give you so much in the long run, in the late game. Early on, you're not going to notice much of a difference, but as you can see, I'm already getting 4% more attack for all my food zones. That includes my healers, so my healers also do attack faster. And you also get attack speed as well. So once I've unlocked this next level, I will get 1% more attack speed and I will be at 3% attack speed then. And it's just so important to level up. It's just so important. As well, this is really useful for the boxes. Sometimes in the hard stages you need to get and destroy a box, and sometimes you don't deal enough damage. But taking this skill with you is really useful, so I would recommend going with this skill early on and then going with that skill second, and then this skill here, and just mainly put everything in here, because these, you want to get to these as fast as possible. It's going to take you quite a while, but if you just diligently collect your cooking talents and your cooking points, you're going to get there eventually. It's going to take a long time, but you want to get there eventually. Okay, next thing, guild. Once you're level 32, you can join a guild, and you should. You should definitely join a guild, and definitely do this every day. At least this. Most guilds early on, if you're low level, they will not ask you to do a specific thing or so, but you want your guild money. And even if you don't plan to stay in the guild for a long time, as long as you can get in the guild and you can get that guild money, that's good. Depending on your guild, they may or may not have a beast cup, and that's where the dishes come in, and wanting to level them up, because the higher the dish, the more points you can get. As you can see, the beef tartare gives me 12 points, this only gives me 9 points, so I definitely want to have the highest rank food as possible. Now we would go and cook the beef tartare to make for him, and I'm going to just show that real quick. So if you do that, you would go in here and you would select your beef tartare, and you'd collect, you'd need 40 eggs, and I often just do this in here because, like I said, you can get fishing points quite easily once you have it unlocked. I don't know when it unlocks, but once you have it unlocked, you can get fishing points quite easily. Now we need 14 beef tenderloins. I didn't see it there for a moment. There we go. And that's not that many fishing points, you can get them back pretty easily. So now we can cook this 20 times. But we also want to try to add our seasoning. This is a appearance food, so we don't really care. We don't really care. It would be nice getting the appearance all the way leveled up. That would be nice, but we're so close, I don't think we are going to struggle much. A lumpy fragrant root, that is ginger, so there we go, we're going to use that. I'm just going to see what that does. Okay, that actually increases the appearance. Boom, so there we go. Sometimes things just work out. So as you can see, we not only level this food up much faster, but we're also gaining much more appearance right now. So as you can see, we're gaining so much more experience for the food, and we're leveling up our appearance so much faster. So that's what I mentioned earlier with the seasoning. And now we have 20 of those, we can go in here and we can feed him. And you definitely want to do that because your guild is going to care about that. So leveling these foods up as fast as possible, and that's another 240 guild money. The next thing you want to do is do your guild quests, because not only do you get contribution, you also get guild money again. And early on that may not be such a big deal, because if you join a guild early on, you might not have many options of what to buy in here, but you can at least buy the seasoning, and if you need some magic balls, you can buy them here too. But once you join a guild that has a specific or a level that's high enough, you can actually buy soul embers, and that's pretty good, you know. Buying soul embers, that is really valuable, and I buy them regularly, not every day, because I'm not making 1,500 every day in guild points, but you can make a few. And then the next thing is the guild boss. I can't show you now, but I do have a boss guide, which I will recommend that you just watch. Just watch my boss guide. I talk about the guild boss and the world boss in there, and you want to do as much damage as possible. And one of the things you definitely need in order to maximize your damage is Tangwan and Mooncake. These names, sometimes I just forget them. So those two are definitely what you need in order to maximize your damage in the guild boss. But just watch my other guide. I will show you exactly how to fight the guild boss, show you exactly the strategy, what food souls you can use. Obviously that has changed a little bit so far with the new food souls added, but it's still fairly straightforward. You need 2 healers for the most part if you're a low level. I'm currently trying out using 1 healer, and it is working, but that's just because I have a really high Tangwan, and Tangwan seems to be okay healing by herself, but that's just because she's a high level. So early on you definitely want to use 2 healers, but I explain all about that in my boss video. What else do we have? We've talked about fallen angels, we talked about the guild, we talked about everything in here. We talked about hard stages. The airship is fairly straightforward. Summoning, don't do it until you have until there's an event where you can do it. And one tiny trick that I can tell you as well is early on, if you need some experience, leveling up these gives you a lot of experience actually. So try to level these up to level 10. And there you go. I try to do at least 2 deliveries every day for a bit of cooking power every day. Like I said, cooking power is just really important. You also want to do your dailies once you've unlocked them, because they give you quite a lot of experience, and you gain some nice things in here, like the stamina potions and crystals and so on. So you want to do them every day. I will not do a catacombs guide. I'm very sorry. Just look for some catacomb guides out there. There might be some. For the most part, you want to have a strong tank with a lot of HP. You want to have a good healer. And then you want to have free area of effect DPS mixed in with a few crowd controls, and that's bad. I'm not really trying to break any records here, but I'm still going as high as I can to get some rewards, and you definitely want to farm all of the fallen angel spirits that you can, so that you can level up your fallen angels and you can enhance and upgrade your fallen angels as fast as possible. And I think that's pretty much it. The only thing that's left to talk about is the new world boss, and that is fairly straightforward. We can look at her skills here. So she's immune to normal attacks. That's the main thing. So you definitely want to use your skills. Here you want to have food souls that use their skills really frequently. So anything that has a little bit of attack speed isn't a bad idea. Precisely, black tea isn't such a bad choice to go for early on. And B52 if you do have B52. Because those have a pretty high attack speed. And then the supernatural flames, Durga's attack increases as the battle drags on. You can dispel that with mooncake. So you want to get your mooncake as well. Infinite Spirit Realm deals instant damage to all enemies and inflicts a negative effect that does continuous damage. That's the main thing that's going to kill you, because it's a continuous damage. So you really want to probably use 2 healers. You might want to take Tangwan and Sweet Tofu for this, because then you can use their skills in tandem or something like that. You just really want to try to heal as much as you can. I'm currently only going with 1 healer, which means I'm not surviving the entire time, but I also have a food soul that charges up my energy skill more frequently, so I use these more frequently with all of my food souls. You're probably not going to be able to have that, so your basic team is probably going to look like, we're just going to go in here and I'm going to build your basic team. So mooncake, black tea, if you don't have anything better than that, Tangwan, just so you can heal whenever you want. Sweet Tofu, definitely want to have them in there. And then you just want another attacker, whatever you have, whether it's red wine or Sanma. If you do have Sanma, I would suggest that you use miso soup instead of Tangwan, because his skill is just a bit more immediate and he doesn't fall asleep and so on. And he's a really good choice here too. You can also use milk, obviously, if that's all you have, and that's a good combination with your black tea if you're using that early on. You don't really need a tank, but if you notice yourself dying a lot, maybe you want to use a tank. Then you have a little bit more survivability with your DPS. Just depends. Try out some things. Try it with a tank one day, without a tank the other day. See what deals more damage. But ultimately you just want to try to survive the onslaught of the continuous damage as long as possible. When it comes to my team is quite advanced already when it comes to this boss. So Toso you might not be able to have. Butter tea also isn't something that you will have when you just begin. Pizza is a good choice, but only once you have his artifact leveled up to his first Togi slot, which I don't have yet. I'm still waiting for a Gate of Trials for Pizza. It would be really great if they would give me one of those. And then I also use my Boston Lobster, which you would be able to get if you do enough shard fusions. So there's that, and as for my healer, I also use my sweet tofu, and then I just use my Sanma because that is the highest damage output I have after my Boston Lobster and Toso. And that's basically where we're going to wrap this up. Early on, I wouldn't recommend you using any of these, just go for the free revive. You need your crystals for other stuff. I, at this point, use it just so I can get a little bit more cooking power and have a chance of a little higher of a reward. So there we go. That's all I'm going to talk about here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. There's so much more to talk about in terms of strategies for specific stages, in terms of how to pass hard stages. But if you're struggling with any of those things, just write in the chat. Someone's probably going to be able to give you a tip. You can also just leave a comment down below if you have any specific question, and I will answer that for you. Thank you so much for watching, and well, I hope you have fun playing Food Fantasy. If you do want to add me in Food Fantasy, I am playing on the Gloryville server, and my name is Kurokabe, so you can go add me there. And with that, I'm out, and I'm glad that I finally managed to record this video. Peace.